if you don't feel well, stop passing it off as, oh, well, kids. Oh, well, I'm just getting older. I gained the weight and, I just have to accept that. I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You deserve to feel well and to have energy and to not feel fatigued and run down. Go get your blood work done.
Welcome to the show, Ebony. I just love your vibe. You're dancing right now. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I don't need coffee or any type of like energy, anything, because I legit could not sleep last night. I was so excited for today.
Oh, that's so amazing. I just love you. We met last year when you were featured in Strong Fitness magazine, the Women to Watch section. And I loved reading your story and we connected. And now you are a strong girl. You're one of my clients. Like, it's crazy how the world works. But we're going to do some pretty epic things together. And I'm
Yes.
pretty pumped for that.
Yes. I cannot wait.
Yay. Yeah, we're getting you prepped for a photo shoot. So that will be
Yes.
exciting.
Yes.
But I wanted to have you here because I wanted to chat about thyroid health, because that's how you help your clients gain their energy back, after having thyroid issues. And I've had a few thyroid experts on the show, but I love your approach and how you get into helping like prevent thyroid dysfunction, right? Because I feel like now more than ever, women are having issues with their thyroid. And I don't know what it is, but let's get into that. I first wanted to get into like your story on your own journey with Hashimoto's. How did this all start?
Well, one of the really interesting things was I started having symptoms when I was in high school, but no one really knew that it was thyroid issues because everyone's like, oh, hormonal teenager, you're being rambunctious and rebellious. And I'm like, I'm the calmest person ever. So for me to even express any kind of anxiety or stress or even frustration or anger was out of character for me. And it really just continued. I started noticing having issues taking my exams. And then when I got into college, I would legit black out. Like I wouldn't even remember how I got somewhere. I started developing crazy anxiety and I started having symptoms of hyper or an overactive thyroid. But again, we didn't know what it was. And I ran track in college. And what was crazy was that my heart actually just went crazy. And I had to stop running track because we couldn't get my heart rate under control. And it would feel like my heart was going to explode. And then I started getting really bad dizziness. And I worked at the health center. So it was really easy for me to just walk over and have them assess me. And I'm like, okay, I took my own vitals. I did all these things. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. And they were all just so confused. And I was doing research in Minnesota when they meaning the doctors thought that I had kidney stones, and then they gave me beta blockers for my heart to get my heart rate to just like calm down. And when I wasn't in the lab, I was at the health center. When I wasn't at the health center, I was asleep.
Wow.
So all of
Really
those,
big.
yeah, all of the symptoms of both hyper and hypothyroidism I had,
Wow.
which also made it really, really challenging to diagnose me because those symptoms also mimic other conditions. So we finally figured it out. I literally told the doctor, I don't care how much it costs, check everything. And in most cases, when I've talked to my doctor since then, they were like, you were really bold for that because we never do that. Just FYI. I was like, yeah, I know, but I was desperate. And it's really hard to pass a kidney stone when one doesn't exist.
Exactly. Oh
So
my
I
gosh.
was
You're waiting
over it.
forever there.
Right? I was over it at that point. I was like, I just don't care. Take all my stipend money. Just, we have to figure this out. So I got in touch with an amazing endocrinologist back home in Detroit. And it was great because she was really the first person that said, I want to help you with your diet and sleep, and you're really active. And I think that's really helped you up until this point. But for me, we ended up going the route of the medication because I just continued to deteriorate and I wasn't getting enough oxygen to my brain. It was super scary because at that point I was like 21.
Wow.
And, pulling clumps of hair out, rapid weight gain, and then the rapid weight loss. And it just,
so you would go in and out of hyper, hypo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the only thing the doctors could say was, well, we guess it was a virus that kind of quote unquote pushed me over the edge. And that's when we found the elevated antibodies for Hashimoto's. And that's really what started my journey, because everything fell apart. And when I say everything, I mean everything. I felt like, even though I was 21, I felt like an 80-year-old woman.
Wow.
And it's really challenging when you're going to the endocrinology office. And I had women staring at me like, why are you in here? Or I kept the fan with me all the time because I was having hot flashes. And, you would get those stares like, well, what are you fanning yourself for? You don't know what this is like. I'm like, actually, I do. So can you move over? Can I borrow your fan really quickly? Thank you.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was a wild ride because I ended up going undiagnosed for about 5 years.
Oh my goodness.
And that was incredibly discouraging, but it also built up an inner strength in me that I didn't know that I had. And once I got on my medication and we got everything on track, then my grades just completely went through the roof. I graduated with a 3.8 and all my advisors were like, and I decided to self-design my own major while all of this was happening. So I started off as a neuroscience major, and then I decided to create my own major in exercise physiology. So I ended up taking kinesiology classes at UMass Amherst while keeping the neuroscience program from Mount Holyoke, where I went to school. And at the end of it, I looked at my degree and then I realized how many credits I had taken. And I was like, well, shucks. No wonder why I was partially so tired. This was suicide. Yeah. Goodness.
No wonder I had blackouts.
Right?
And that's just like, I feel like that's why you wanted to get to the bottom of it, right? Like you have that science brain, like you want to get to the bottom of it. So that's probably why you persevered and didn't, just take what the doctors were saying as an actual fact. You wanted to get to the bottom of it because you knew how you were feeling, right?
Yeah, it was awful. I would not wish that on my worst enemy.
Did you change anything in regards to your nutrition approach? Like even when you were 21, did you start to question that, like what you were eating, what you were putting in your body, even at 21, being so young?
Yeah, I actually also developed irritable bowel syndrome in the middle of this because when you have one autoimmune condition, especially when it's related to your endocrine system, you tend to develop other conditions, and hello IBS, hello stress, hello anxiety. So I learned very quickly that I could no longer survive on a standard quote unquote college diet. And fortunately, my school fed us very well, but I had to cut everything out because everything irritated my stomach. Everything made me nauseous. Everything made me sick. I never knew which end it was going to come out of. So I literally had to start at the basics with just working on drinking nothing but bone broth.
Wow.
And literally build up from there. So it started with just bone broth, and then we started with vegetables. I avoided all of the typical things that most folks say you can't eat with a thyroid disease. And I went gluten-free, and I did all those things to try to get the inflammation down, because I was also just really puffy. And once I started doing that and introducing foods, then I realized, oh yeah, no, I can't eat that. Nope, can't eat that either. Can't do that either. Yeah. Okay. So it was really great just to see and be my own science experiment, essentially, to say, all right, I can't do processed food. I can't do fast food, because my body will hate me and I will be miserable, which was also challenging because I drove back and forth from Massachusetts to Michigan, and I would actually go through Canada, and there's nothing but fast food restaurants.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
So I was normally quite hungry if I did not pack
your food, yeah,
for the road. So that's like one thing on my bucket list, to be able to like figure out, how do we help other people that want to eat healthier but also have dietary issues when they're traveling on the road, even at the airport. I was like, I can't eat that. Can't eat that.
Yeah. Now that you're a strong girl, you know about food prep.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Bringing your food everywhere. And I'm sure you learned that as well, with not being able to hardly eat anything, because going back to what Hashimoto's is, it's like your immune system is attacking your thyroid, right? So it's like, it looks at it as like a foreign invader, and it's going to look at foods as that way too, because your body is just in that state, right? So that's why you sort of cleaned up everything that could cause a reaction, which would probably be like dairy and wheat and gluten and all of that, and then rebuilding. And now you've come to a point where you have been able to reintroduce certain things, right? Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yep. And that's also something that's really funny, because whether I'm talking to someone on my podcast or just having a conversation, they're like, wait a minute, you can have nightshades? You can eat chickpeas? Wait, you eat bread? Wait a minute, I thought we couldn't have any of that.
Yeah.
Well,
you built your body up to a point now where you can start reintroducing, because you've done all the work. Right. And that's what you essentially help your clients do as well.
Yep.
Now, I just wanted to go back quickly about anxiety, because you were saying when you have a thyroid Hashimoto's or thyroid condition or Hashimoto's, anxiety is a real part of it.
Yes.
Now, once you either get medication for your thyroid and you're helping it in other ways as well, food, exercise, how is your anxiety now? Does it go down? Did you have to do any mindset work as well? Or was it basically controlled through getting your thyroid at a good level and stable?
All of the above.
Okay. So a lot of people have anxiety. They're like, is it just because of my thyroid, or is it because of other things too? Right.
Yeah.
What's we really have to figure out, right?
Yeah. So initially, a lot of my anxiety was helped with the medication. And I actually had a thyroid storm over the summer, and we readjusted my medication. So it was really cool to see, oh, reminder, yes, sometimes it is your thyroid. But what was really important for me is growing up, and I honestly feel like anxiety and a lot of mental health issues are really and truly passed down from a genetic perspective, and you have that predisposition to it. So I know that my family has a lot of issues with mental health. So it was really important to me to make sure that I was working on my mindset, that I was working on that scarcity mindset that we even talked about, and that it's a daily reminder that I'm okay and that things are going to turn around, and I don't have to be so afraid to take a step or to voice my opinion on things, or in just all of the things that we've really kind of talked about in terms of things that go along with mindset. And that can be different for everyone. But for me, it was definitely scarcity. It was the anxiety of not being seen or heard or listened to. And even going through a divorce, that reintroduces a lot of that. And you have to then work on just, who am I? What makes me happy? And what are the things that I want to accomplish in this world? And also not being afraid to go to therapy.
Yeah.
That definitely helps with easing that anxiety. And a lot of meditation has happened in this apartment, as well as doing yoga and spending a lot of time outside in nature. I recently learned that that is my happy place.
Me too.
Forest bathing is amazing. Okay. Shout out to forest bathing. Go stand in the dirt. Go get your feet wet. Jump in a puddle.
It's really amazing how you feel when you step outside. Like I've been more in tune with that lately too, during COVID. You just feel like a different person, you know, you go for a walk, you come back and you're like, oh, I feel amazing, you know, and just stepping outside with my kids, I see their difference too. They're hyper inside, you know, we need to get outside. We get outside, we release some energy, and they're like happier children when they get home. We are meant to be in nature.
Yes. Yes. And it's great because my parents recently moved to New Hampshire, and I was out there all last week hiking, and my dad tried to persuade me to spend the night outside in the tent. And I was like, I'm not quite ready for that, especially since you just said you guys saw a bear at the farmer's market. Give me a minute.
I don't think I'd be ready for that either.
Right.
I can maybe do like a glamping thing or or a really nice cottage. I don't know about.
Exactly. I was like, I wasn't ready. But and we've talked about this in my check-ins with changing my medication. It subsequently gave me insomnia. But all last week I slept without a problem. And I feel like a new woman today, which is just, it's incredible.
And I'm sure, and you get your blood work done regularly, right? So you know, and this is for everybody. It's not for just somebody that has a thyroid issue or another ailment. You should be getting your blood work done a couple times a year, because even for supplementation, you need to know what you're lacking in. Your vitamin D levels will be different in the winter than they are in the summer. Get them checked so you can supplement properly, because all those things matter on how you feel. You know, like even raising magnesium will help you sleep a little bit more, but you need to know before you just start taking a bunch of supplements or not taking them, right?
Yes, that I cannot stress how important that is. And even I just met with my endocrinologist, and another thing that I tell people when they're like, well, Ebony, you have a reason to go to the doctor a lot. I don't. I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And I talk to my family about this a lot, because you have to advocate for yourself in healthcare. And as women, we're often dismissed, and there are a lot of study about, provider and patient relationship and communication. And that's another reason why advocacy is so important to me as well, because if you don't feel well, stop passing it off as, oh, well, kids. Oh, well, I'm just getting older. I gained the weight. And, I just have to accept that. I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You deserve to feel well and to have energy and to not feel fatigued and run down. Go get your blood work done.
Yeah. That was a big wake up call for me after having my son. I was so tired and I just said, oh, it's because I'm a mom. That's literally what I said in my head for a good year. It's just because I'm not getting the sleep that I used to. And then when I finally had the miscarriage, it made me like really look within and say like, okay, I should probably get my blood checked. I did.
Yeah.
And I had extremely low iron. She was like, do you feel like falling asleep like every hour? I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And it was because of that. And then when I started taking a really great iron supplement, 3 months later, I was like, woo, like I forgot how it felt to have energy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. And even for me, not only did I have Hashimoto's disease, which will already make you forget your first name, but I had incredibly low vitamin D levels and I had incredibly low vitamin B levels. So my doctor just kind of looked, and my cholesterol was all over the place. I had high blood pressure, and my doctor looked at me and she's like, are
you okay?
Right. Like how and my iron was low too. And she's just like, I don't understand. Okay, we're going to start with 20,000 units of vitamin D, and then we're going to give you vitamin B shots, and you're going to take this iron supplement. And by the way, it might make you constipated. So now we have to do all these other things to increase your fiber intake. Like after, I honestly did start doing cartwheels down the hallway at work, and I still do that when we are in the office, because it's just such an expression of joy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just have to do cartwheels. Thanks.
And it's like, you were 21. So your body was like, it's still young, you were eating healthy. And that just goes to show you everybody's different and everybody absorbs differently.
Yes.
So even though you are eating well, or you think you're eating well, your body maybe is not absorbing the iron that you're eating. So that's why you need either a digestive enzyme to help you absorb or a supplementation, right? So that's the key. Like, you really have to find out what you're lacking, because everybody's very, very different.
And don't be afraid to seek out a specialist. Like I went in, not bashing doctors, but I went to my fortunately, I have had a very good care team. I will sing praises to every doctor that I've seen. But, when I went to my primary care, I'm like, this is what I think. This is what I've read. What do you think? Can we make this a collaborative thing? And she was like, yes, you have a great point there. All right, let's get you scheduled with an endocrinologist. Let's get you scheduled with a GI doctor, because those IBS symptoms were like, they were scary, because again, to your point about the digestive enzymes, I wasn't breaking down my food at all. Not to mention to see some things kind of squirreling around in there. When I went to the bathroom, I was
going
like,
right through you.
Yeah. I'm like, can we look at this? Can we? Because this is a little yuck.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, it was great. And the one thing I really appreciate about my GI doctor was she's like, you are so young, and I don't want to start giving you all the medications. Let's take an approach of, what about peppermint oil, or digestive enzymes, and even digestive bitters. And it was great because I could go back to her. And that's when I started writing down what I was eating. And that's also important too, because when you're stressed out, you tend to reach for things.
Yeah.
And for me at the
and don't
time,
realize you're eating them.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that whole thing that we were talking about with like the bite, lick, and chews and the taste and all those things build up over time. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. Actually, I ate too much food and I ate what I wasn't supposed to eat. And that is why I imploded and why I currently have diarrhea. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, you become like you're showing up and you're actually making note of what you're putting in your mouth, right? Because a lot of us think like, oh, I just had like 2 meals, 3 meals today. But then when you really
yes,
write it down, you realize it's more than that, right?
Yes.
And that's what could be causing some issues for you.
Yes.
Let's talk about how to start taking care of your thyroid now. So many women have thyroid issues now. You know that. I have so many clients coming in the door and there's thyroid issues. A lot of them I find have them after having a baby. So let's talk about like how we can take care of our thyroid now in hopes to prevent any of these issues going like later on in life.
Yes. So I'm laughing because I'm thinking back to the early days and even now, especially having gone through a thyroid storm, which basically a thyroid storm is exactly what it sounds like. And it is when your body, either you have a virus or you have just gotten to that point of being overworked and overstressed, and your body's like, you know what, peace out. I need a minute. And because you're not paying attention to me, I'm going to force you to slow down. Thanks. So with that being said, that really goes into movement and moving your body from an exercise perspective, from just being active and being out in nature, like we talked about. And a lot of people really throw around it's become very popular with self-care and right, and everyone getting burned out, but it's being aware of your triggers and your stressors and doing the things that really and truly make you happy, because it's going to look different for every person. So for me, I like to go out and go on a hike, but you may be like, Bugs, no, not doing that. Absolutely not. You may like reading a book or drawing or just journaling. And all of those things create new neural pathways in our mind that help to release the dopamine and the serotonin and all that stuff. And speaking of serotonin, hello, I'm geeking out. Thank you very much. But when we add more fruits and vegetables to our diet, our serotonin is really produced in our digestive system. So when you're adding more fiber, and I know a lot of people are like, eat organic all the time. Not everyone can afford that. Not everyone has access to that. So it's really just working on getting the fruits and vegetables in. If you have to eat canned vegetables, that's okay. Aim for no salt. Right. Aim for no salt or low salt. And actually, one thing that I love to talk about with my doctor friends is, how do I reduce my sodium intake or salt intake? And they're like, wash your can of beans off, or your can of anything.
Yeah, wash it all off.
Problem solved. Frozen fruits and vegetables, any way that you can introduce that variety to help your digestive system work optimally. Because if you have been constipated before, you know that that is the worst feeling ever. Yeah. Okay, let's just be honest. I know a lot of people do not like talking about poop or anything like that, but we need to do it, and it's healthy.
Yeah, it's a sign of our health, really.
Yeah.
How many times we have a bowel movement and how many times, if we don't, like there's a problem there.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. I've even involved my nephew in the process of helping him understand digestive health. And I've had him eat beets and blueberries, and we've like colored his muffins and cupcakes so that he can understand his digestive tract and pathway.
Yeah.
And now he'll like randomly text me. He's like, Aunt Ebony. And we've done this since he was like 7 and he's turning 13 on the 26th. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But for him to gain that awareness has been so helpful. And anytime you can involve your children in that, please do. So that's the second point: more fruits and vegetables, more fiber. I will always be an advocate for that. And even if you eat animal protein, that's okay too. Be mindful of where you're getting it from, because you really are what you eat, and you want to feed yourself well.
Yeah.
And the last thing, which I'm going off of having a lot of it, sleep, sleep, sleep. Okay,
Well,
take a nap.
girl, I love my sleep. I need at least 7-8 hours of sleep per night to
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And I tell people the only person that can call me on a Saturday morning is my dad. No one else can call me. My phone goes on do not disturb. No, I don't want to talk to you. Don't text me. No, I'm asleep.
I'm with you. It's been a little tougher with the kids, but Jackson is finally sleeping and he's my oldest and he never slept in. Logan's a pretty good sleeper. He'll sleep in. So we're all pretty well rested in our household. But women do need more sleep than men. Like my husband gets up super early. I tried that, like at the 5 a.m. I just can't function. I just can't function. I think that's a little sexist, with moms who work and also like may have been up in the middle of the night with their kids to put that extra stress on them and like be a 5 a.m.er. I tried it, man, and I didn't function well. I was not getting a good amount of work done. So I went back to achieving my 7-8 hours of sleep per night. And that's my happy place.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was with my best friend when she had her first baby. And when she was up, I was up with her and I felt drunk the next day. Yeah, exactly. I was just like, you know what? Shout out to all the moms out there. Because it was a very interesting drive home.
Yeah. This is why I spell things wrong on my IG post, by the way.
Right? Like if you all don't get out of here judging moms and women who are really and truly like out here taking care of whole humans.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like, no.
Yeah. So sleep, what would you tell somebody that's maybe not sleeping that well? I mean, it seems like everything that you've just said is managing stress, right? All of these things help manage stress. So when your body is in high stress mode, it starts to shut down in weird ways.
Yeah.
One of them could be your thyroid, right? Yeah. So managing that stress. So you said exercise daily, getting outside, some sort of movement, eating your fruits and vegetables and getting that fiber in, and now your sleep. So what would be your recommendation for sleep?
As someone who has just been struggling with insomnia, yay. The biggest thing that I have had to work through over the last, I would say like 2 or 3 months is I have to start winding down sooner. And even if you're someone that has to take medication, regardless of what it is, talk to your doctor about the timing, because I had to start getting up. Well, I get up to go to the bathroom anyway, so it's fine. But I take my thyroid meds earlier because it is released throughout the day. And, it was higher in my blood at night versus if I took it at a different time. So talk to your doctor about adjusting the timing when you take your medication, but also your devices. Sorry, guys. I know we love them, but that constant connection is also feeding that anxiety and stress. And I had to make a decision about when I was going to put my devices away and either read or let the TV watch me, because it's just too much. And with the type of work that I do on a daily basis, we're always connected because anything can go wrong. But I had to make a decision to set that boundary. So starting at 8:00, the devices are on do not disturb. I'm turning the volume down on everything. I'm diffusing my essential oils. I'm doing yoga and stretching. And sometimes I'll even work out late, because I know a lot of people, it kind of hypes them up, but for me, it helps me to get out that anxiety or that stress. So if I choose to work out late at night, then I'll definitely do some stretching and yoga and meditation. And also I've gotten in the habit of just drinking lavender tea at night and just reflecting on the day and thinking about something that I'm grateful for. And of course, my magnesium supplements and such, that helps too. So I say all that to say, develop a nighttime routine.
Yeah, I love it. I do the same. I try to close everything down. Sometimes depending on my day, if, the kids are sick or whatever, I do have to work late, but I do try to close everything down around 8 p.m. And even on the weekends, I find my anxiety goes up because I have the kids. They're super busy needing attention. And then I start answering, DMs and that sort of thing. And my anxiety's like, whoop. And I'm like, you know what? This isn't good. I got to just put this away, and people can wait. I can answer them on Monday. But it's true. It's setting boundaries for yourself, right? It's setting boundaries and being okay with it and not worrying it, because people are waiting for you. Like, despite what you think, they're not like sitting there waiting for your response. They can wait, your health is more important.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to set a boundary against yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
and what your bad habits are, even if you don't want to say them out loud. But even writing those things down, and I know that I can be exhausted during the day, and then all of a sudden at 10:00 at night, I'm like, let's think about all the things that I have to do.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. Yeah. Or even like taking 8:00 and writing everything down, like that helps me, like writing everything down for the night, for the next day, all my little to-dos, and then it gets out of your head. It gets out of your head, it's on the paper. And that helps me sort of decompress. You have that there.
Yes.
There you go.
This is all the things. And sometimes when it starts to get a little crazy, I have to highlight my to-dos, like, oh, wait.
Yeah, like use a good highlighter. Or I actually just bought this Remarkable. I don't know if you see it. Can you see it here?
Yes.
It's amazing. One of our strong girls, Julie, recommended it to me. And you write all your notes in it, and then you can upload it to.
I have a Rocket book that's similar.
It's so good. And now my notebooks never go missing.
No.
I have it all in one book.
Yes. So awesome. It's amazing.
But tell us a little bit about your coaching program. What's next for you?
Yeah. So I am starting the process of basically starting over. One of the beautiful things about divorce is that you have that ability to start over. And I have like my VIP day where I work with my clients over a 3-month period to really do a deep dive in all of the things, whether it is fitness, nutrition, and movement. But one of the things that I love about being an aromatherapist is we can add in different modalities to help with the stress management things, or food education and just healthy habit management and things with aromatherapy to help folks to think outside the box that really and truly just helps them to get to radiant health, whatever that means for you. And one thing that is I'm very excited about, really nervous, but I'm going to be launching a subscription box called the Balanced Soul Box.
Love it.
And it literally combines all of those things together, in that I will be able to put my handmade body products in there, but there'll be workouts and recipe collections, and I can do monthly trainings and have live workouts with that group and that community, because I've seen with Strong Girls how important that community is. And I've been trying to find a way to provide that for people to help them learn about all of these concepts, but especially aromatherapy in a safe way. So I'm going to focus on, like, one of the themes is harvest. So what are the things that you want to till and work on and cultivate? And we're pairing the essential oils that really and truly help with, like, kind of opening up your mind and giving you clarity to kind of go along with that. So that is coming in November.
That's
and
exciting. So it's a box that they actually receive.
That they actually receive. Yep.
And is it like a yearly thing, a monthly thing?
Yeah, it's a monthly. It's going to be monthly.
That's exciting.
And I am looking over, because I'm currently staring at my outline of everything. And it's something that I've always wanted to do, but I was always too afraid, because it's like, oh no, well, what if people don't want it? What if they don't find value in it? How am I going to do this? And I'm like, Ebony, stop. Just stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. You just have to stop caring or thinking what other people think, because you don't know that. You really don't know.
No.
And in business, you never know the outcome until you just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm proud of you, girl, for doing this.
Thank you. It really, after listening to Geo and that whole concept of, like, dreaming again, like, well, let's dream again and just figure it out.
That's exciting. That's super exciting. Let me know if you want anything added to that box. We can connect on another day, but
please.
Yes. I ask my guests this question at the end. I think you know the question if you listen to my podcast, but what does the word strong mean to you, Ebony?
Whew. I'm getting teary-eyed. Why am I getting teary-eyed? Oh my goodness. Strong for me is really and truly just recognizing who you are and loving every single part of it. For me, for so long, I thought that I had to adjust who I was to fit and to make other people comfortable. And that is a horrible way to live. And far too often we feel like we have to people please and do all the things. And for me, being strong has meant rejecting that and going against the grain and being my, like, weird and wacky self. And that's okay. And knowing that I'm going to find people who love me for who I am, and recognizing that when you can't run, walk, and when you can't walk, crawl, and when you can't do any of that, just be still and just recognize this is me, and just loving yourself for all of the things that you bring to this world, because there's no one else like you. And I know people say like, there's no one else like you, and that's your superpower, but it's really true.
It is. And you go through things because eventually you know why you went through the thing you went through, right? And
yeah,
you didn't go through everything with thyroid at 21, you wouldn't be helping so many women today.
Yeah.
That's a powerful thing. I just love you, Ebony. Thank you.
Please don't make me cry.
You've just been such a amazing person and client and everything. And I'm excited for you and your business, and I'm excited to do more things with you. I think a lot of our listeners got a lot out of today. Where can people find you, Ebony?
Yeah. So I hang out on all social media platforms at Joyful Ebony. And there is my website, joyfulebony.com, and my podcast, the Thyroid Warrior Podcast. And if you want to be a VIP to learn more about the Balanced Soul Box, you can go to joyfulebony.com/balanced soul box. And it's BALANCED soul box.
And your podcast again, so everybody can actually pause right now and go and subscribe to Ebony's podcast. Can you just say that name again?
Yeah, it's the Thyroid Warrior Podcast.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here today, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.
Thank you.